$500 million for a yacht, and bride Lauren Sánchez launched a rocket into space just before her wedding. When aristocrats and tycoons like the Ambani family or the British royal family hold weddings, they make history because of their extravagance. But only one wedding has caused a wave of protests across the city: Jeff Bezos in Venice. Here are 8 stories behind Bezos' wedding that were not only the most expensive, but also a silent declaration of war to the world. The $68 million secret behind Jeff Bezos' wedding that even Amazon tried to hide. When Jeff Bezos decided to marry Lauren Sánchez in Venice, it wasn't just a wedding, it was a silent flex of power, cloaked in velvet and guarded by men with sniper rifles. The logistical costs alone spiraled to an estimated $68 million, not including classified expenditures. The spending wasn't just extravagant, it was orchestrated, precise, and shockingly invisible until now. Let's begin with security, where the line between safety and militarization blurred. Bezos' team spent over $15 million to create what Italian officials referred to as a floating green zone. The setup involved 300 elite guards, drawn from international private security firms with former intelligence backgrounds, including Israeli and American ex-military contractors. On rooftops, snipers tracked movement with thermal scopes. Underwater, canal divers scanned for explosives. Anti-drone systems and naval patrols were deployed. And although no official threat was identified, the anti-aircraft system sees anti-aircraft speak volumes. But it wasn't just about keeping people out. It was about crafting a world inside. Florals alone cost over $12 million, who traced the custom-bred white Dutch roses to a controlled greenhouse facility under Royal Flora Holland. Each bouquet reportedly cost more than an Italian public school teacher earns in a year. Orchids were imported from Thailand, Colombia, and Kenya, arriving daily by private jet. The arrangements were supervised by renowned French designer Thierry Boutemy, whose fee remains undisclosed. And then came the gastronomy, engineered like a military operation in indulgence. The New York Times confirmed that $18 million went into the culinary experience, coordinated by 15 Michelin-starred chefs from 11 countries. The centerpiece, beluga caviar at $2,000 per kilogram, rare Alba truffles flown from Piedmont, and Bellon oysters sourced under armed escort from the French Atlantic. Every dish was plated on custom Venetian porcelain, fired in limited runs by artisans whose workshops date back to the 16th century. But nothing turned heads like the entertainment, a production valued at $25 million, described by the Telegraph as a hybrid of Broadway, NASA, and a state dinner. Insiders hinted at Cirque du Soleil's involvement, holographic projections across palace facades, and perhaps the most baffling rumor of all. A Blue Origin rocket prepared for launch from the Venetian Laguna claim Amazon refused to confirm. Yet security protocols suggested preparations for a high-risk vertical ignition event. That phrase alone triggered alarm from Italian aerospace regulators, though no public filing was ever made. Together, these 4-line item security, florals, gastronomy, entertainment total $68 million. But the real scandal isn't just the amount. It's the silence. Not one of these figures appears in official budgets. Not one is disclosed to Italian taxpayers, whose city was shut down and displaced. For Bezos, it was a celebration. For Venice, it may have been something else entirely. Comment Bezos if you like him. The untouchable yacht inside Bezos' $500 million floating fortress that paralyzed Venice. As the sun sets over Venice's storied skyline, one vessel dominates the Lagunata cruise ship. Not a military craft, but Kourou, Jeff Bezos' $500 million superyacht, an engineering marvel that has become both a symbol of absurd wealth and a flashpoint for global outrage. Built by Oceanco and stretching 417 feet long, Kourou is not just a yacht, it is a floating citadel of power, opulence, and secrecy. The vessel includes a private cinema, multiple decks of teak-lined lounges, and a 250-foot support ship with a helipad, jet skis, and a crew of 45 all shadowing the main ship like a silent guardian. But during the week of Bezos' wedding, Kourou transformed from luxury toy to geopolitical spectacle. Anchored in the Venetian Laguna UNESCO heritage site, already struggling with mass tourism, the yacht's presence forced local authorities into emergency logistics. Italian officials quietly approved extended anchorage rights, diverting commercial vessels and halting regular water transport. As the yacht idled, it burned approximately 250 gallons of diesel per hour, releasing pollutants directly into one of Europe's most fragile ecosystems. Environmental researchers from Ca' Foscari University were quoted in Reuters as calling the impact comparable to a month of cruise ship traffic compressed into 72 hours. Yet Kourou was only part of the spectacle. Directly across from it, the 16th-century San Giorgio Maggiore architectural treasure designed by Andrea Palladio was sealed off from the public for 5 days. A temporary amphitheater was erected on the island's southern shore, host a private space-themed display in homage to Bezos' Blue Origin program. Security was nothing short of military. Rooftop snipers, underwater divers, and anti-aircraft jammers were discreetly deployed across Venetian rooftops and canal zones. All airspace within a 5-kilometer radius was frozen during key hours, and maritime activity around Kourou was suspended for civilian vessels. For a city that once defied empires, Venice now bowed to one man's celebration. What truly unsettled locals wasn't just the spectacle, but the silence. Official tourist authorities refused to comment. UNESCO declined to issue a statement. And Amazon's own PR team maintained total radio silence. A city of 50,000 was disrupted for an event attended by 200, yet no one claimed responsibility. This wasn't a wedding. It was a quiet occupation. What they don't want you to know, the $500 million yacht that poisoned Venice. Venice has seen emperors, kings, and popes pass through its canals, but nothing prepared the floating city for the invisible empire of Jeff Bezos. When the Amazon founder's wedding flotilla arrived in June 2025, it wasn't just an event, it was an ecological occupation. Anchored in the Venetian lagoon, Bezos' $500 million superyacht Kourou became the nucleus of what Bloomberg later described as the most logistically disruptive private event in modern Italian freight history. 95 private jets landed at Venice's Marco Polo airport over just 72 hours, creating an unprecedented spike in localized CO2 levels. Environmental analysts from Ca' Foscari University confirmed the short-term carbon footprint exceeded the annual emissions of more than 12,000 Italian vehicles. Worse, emissions didn't come only from the skies. The Kourou, which consumes up to 250 gallons of diesel per hour even while idle, released untreated exhaust directly into the lagoon ecosystem already flagged by UNESCO as critically vulnerable. The New York Times reported on the collateral social damage. Over 3,000 local residents were temporarily displaced under emergency security orders. Families living in centuries-old buildings were relocated to the mainland with a flat-rate compensation of just $55 per day. Meanwhile, hotel prices skyrocketed. Standard rooms near Piazza San Marco surged to $8,000 per night, a cost greater than Italy's average annual household income. The Telegraph interviewed one gondolier who was forced to take 40-minute detours due to Grand Canal closures, calling it the death of Venetian dignity. Then came the protest. More than 2,500 tourism workers staged a coordinated blockade of the Rialto Bridge, holding signs that read "Bezos, go home and our city is not your playground." University students formed a flash mob outside St. Mark's Cathedral, clutching cardboard calculators and textbooks, a theatrical reminder that a single night in Bezos' luxury suite cost more than 4 years of their education. Even Greenpeace Italy mobilized, launching 20 kayaks toward Kourou with banners labeling the ceremony a climate criminal wedding. They were intercepted and pushed back by Coast Guards within minutes. Perhaps the most damning figure came from Reuters, which cited internal estimates by Venice's municipal council. Total environmental and public costs reached $62 million, including security, emergency logistics, economic losses from tourist site closures, and impending restoration of marine life. What's more unsettling is that none of this was included in official wedding disclosures. The deeper question remains: if one man can displace a city, pollute a UNESCO site, and suppress public access to historic landmarks for personal celebration without consequence, then where does accountability begin? And more provocatively, what didn't get reported? Because while Bezos' wedding may be over, its toxic wake, both literal and societal, is only beginning to surface. The $220 million wedding that outsparkled royals and Venice and sparked a revolt. While royal weddings are designed to unify nations, Jeff Bezos' $220 million Venetian spectacle achieved the opposite. igniting the largest wave of backlash ever seen against a private celebration. And when measured not in tradition or sentiment, but in sheer financial gravity, Bezos' wedding quietly dethroned every symbolic union before it. Princess Diana and Prince Charles's legendary 1981 wedding, once the most expensive in history, was valued at approximately $2 million in today's money. Prince William and Kate Middleton's 2011 ceremony, with its military-scale security and global broadcast, reached nearly $34 million, heavily state-funded and bound by protocol. But none of them closed off entire cities, displaced thousands, or left environmental fines in their wake. Compare this to the Ambani wedding, often cited as a pinnacle of luxury, where Beyoncé earned $6 million for a single performance and the bride wore a dress encrusted with $80 million worth of historic diamonds. Lavish, yes, but India celebrated it. Versailles was sealed off for the Nigerian billionaire heir's week-long nuptials, reported Reuters, with guests gifted $50,000 Cartier watches. Opulent but discreet. In an era where wealth must whisper, Bezos chose to roar. And that roar, unlike any dress or diamond, is what etched this wedding not just into history but into a reckoning. Inside Bezos' $500 million wedding finale, the rocket launch they're trying to hide. What's verified is that Lauren Sánchez, licensed pilot, journalist, and now bride, took a Blue Origin spaceflight just weeks before the wedding. The presence of a high-definition imaging team on board, with camera arrays identical to those used for Earth-facing commercial satellite operations. Sánchez described the flight as life-altering, but declined further comment when asked by Reuters if it was part of the wedding. The Guardian noted that this marked the first time a bride entered matrimony after leaving Earth's atmosphere. A symbolic act that repositions Bezos not just as a business titan, but as the first man to orchestrate an interstellar wedding prelude. The true cost of this final act is shrouded in silence. While the known entertainment budget reached $25 million, Forbes estimates that the satellite imaging and rocket logistics, if confirmed, would push that figure past $50 million. The implications ripple far beyond spectacle. But the most chilling detail comes from a Telegraph correspondent stationed in Venice during the ceremony. Several guests, including a former NASA advisor, were asked to surrender their phones upon boarding the floating venue. One remarked off record, "We weren't attending a wedding." It felt like the launch of a new world order. Even in a world accustomed to wealth without borders, Bezos' wedding finale marks a rupture in scale and symbolism. No longer content to dominate Earth's retail economy, he appears to be scripting a legacy that fuses private love with celestial dominance. As Venice's canals echoed with fireworks and the skies pulsed with engineered starlight, a quiet truth emerged. This wasn't just a wedding. It was a message, and it wasn't meant for us. The $25 million wedding wardrobe Jeff Bezos tried to keep hidden. When Jeff Bezos exchanged vows in Venice in 2025, headlines swirled around the $500 million yacht, the protests, and the environmental cost, but very little was said about what may be the most extravagant secret of all, the wardrobe. According to the Telegraph, and corroborated by insiders cited in Bloomberg, Bezos commissioned a wedding ensemble collection with a total estimated value of $25 million, quietly curated by a private team of stylists, heritage fashion houses, and rare fabric brokers operating under non-disclosure agreements. At the center of the spectacle was a custom-tailored Tom Ford tuxedo hand-stitched in London over 6 months using ultra-rare vicuna wool, a fabric sourced from the Peruvian Andes that costs upward of $4,000 per meter. The final garment, lined with black diamond buttons and a silk blend dyed with real indigo extracted from 17th century Venetian recipes, is said to be worth $2.3 million, making it the most expensive tuxedo ever worn in a private wedding, surpassing even royal standards. But it didn't stop there. Bezos reportedly underwent 3 wardrobe changes throughout the multi-day affair. A second look featured an ivory Nehru-inspired dinner jacket made from albino crocodile leather, treated through a patented French softening process developed for haute couture houses like Hermes. That single piece alone is estimated by The Guardian's luxury editor to be worth over $5 million due to ethical sourcing, rarity, and craftwork. The shock, however, came not from price beat security. The Wall Street Journal revealed that the garments were flown into Venice aboard a separate Gulfstream G650 guarded by a private logistics firm that typically services high-value art transfers for museums. Each outfit was embedded with RFID trackers, insured individually and stored in a temperature-controlled vault at the Aman Venice Hotel until the moment of dressing. Sources inside the hotel claimed that Bezos's wardrobe received more protection than some heads of state. While the bride, Lauren Sánchez, dazzled in Valentino and Schiaparelli, Bezos's silent fashion statement was one of coded power, minimalism in cut, but maximalism in cost and symbolism. According to Forbes, the final outfit worn for the rumored Blue Origin-themed closing ceremony included a ceremonial coat woven with 24-karat gold thread, created in secret by Venetian artisans who typically work for the Vatican. The coat alone? Valued at $9.8 million, never to be worn again. Yet none of this appears in Amazon's official reports. No photos were released. No designers are publicly credited. Was it opulence or erasure? The silence may be the most expensive fabric of all. Lauren Sánchez, the $100 million woman they tried to keep out of space. Once dismissed as a former TV anchor with a pretty face, Lauren Sánchez has re-emerged as one of the most strategic and enigmatic figures in America's billionaire class. Born in 1969 in Albuquerque, New Mexico, Sánchez carved her name into media history long before she ever met Jeff Bezos. But what makes her truly magnetic isn't her Emmy-winning background or her high-profile relationship. It's the silent empire she's built and the powerful rooms she now occupies. Sánchez's current estimated net worth exceeds $100 million, drawn from a diversified portfolio of media investments, aviation ventures, or in private deals that rarely make headlines. As founder of Black Ops Aviation, the first female-owned aerial film production company in the carved a niche in a male-dominated industry. Her company has worked on high-budget productions and government-linked aerial projects, but most contracts remain undisclosed. Insiders suggest her business connections may run deeper than Hollywood, raising eyebrows among national security experts after her documented proximity to aerospace infrastructures. But the most shocking chapter in Sánchez's life came not from business but from space. In 2023, she became one of the first women to fly aboard a Blue Origin suborbital rocket's journey she didn't just take, but helped orchestrate. While Bloomberg reports framed the trip as symbolic empowerment, The Guardian noted murmurs from within the Bezos-owned company suggesting internal resistance to having Sánchez on board. Some feared it would signal nepotism at the highest level, space program positioning itself as NASA's private sector successor. The quiet pushback, never officially acknowledged, led to heightened scrutiny over her exact role within Blue Origin's future roadmap. Privately, Sánchez lives between multiple ultra-secure properties, including a Bel Air estate co-owned with Bezos valued at over $78 million and a Manhattan penthouse near Central Park, discreetly purchased through a Delaware LLC. She is known to travel with a tight security detail, and unlike many celebrity partners, rarely grants interviews. According to the New York Times, her media access has become tightly curated, with legal teams vetting even philanthropic announcements. Publicly, she advocates for women in STEM and aviation. Privately, as per The Telegraph, she maintains a direct line to advisors involved in Bezos's long-term Mars colonization dreams, raising the question, is she merely accompanying a billionaire or quietly shaping the next frontier? What remains unspoken is perhaps the most powerful part of Lauren Sánchez's story, the possibility that her influence reaches further than we've been told and maybe further than we're meant to know. The secret billionaire lives of Jeff Bezos's children. While Jeff Bezos commands the global stage with his $231 billion fortune, little is known about the tightly guarded lives of his 4 biological children, especially his eldest son, Preston Bezos. Rarely photographed and never interviewed, Preston remains one of the most enigmatic heirs in the world. According to the New York Times and Bloomberg, Bezos has deliberately shielded his children from public scrutiny, ensuring their lives unfold in what one Wall Street Journal analyst called a bespoke privacy cocoon designed for billionaire succession. Unlike the children of Gates or Musk, no Instagram, no leaked photos, and no public schooling records exist for any of Bezos's offspring. But insiders and court records from the Bezos-Mackenzie Scott divorce hint at one undeniable truth: these children are being groomed for unprecedented power. Preston, believed to be in his early 20s, is reportedly studying at MIT, according to Forbes, with an early focus on machine learning and aerospace engineering. What raises eyebrows, however, is his quiet involvement in Blue Origin's incubation Labsa move, never confirmed by Amazon, yet repeatedly observed in insider leaks from Reuters. Even more shocking, Preston is listed as a co-owner of several Delaware-based shell companies that hold equity in emerging AI startups. While legal and common in the elite financial world, this subtle positioning indicates a transfer of influence from Bezos to his heir under the radar of media cycles. Then comes the matter of inheritance. The Guardian revealed in 2023 that Jeff Bezos established multiple grantor-retained annuity trusts, GRATs, worth a combined $2.4 billion, likely earmarked for his children. These structures allow Bezos to legally transfer stock wealth, especially Amazon and Blue Origin equity, while minimizing estate tax. But here's the spark that ignited legal interest. At least one of these GRATs was restructured just weeks before Lauren Sánchez's engagement was made public. Why the timing? Financial observers suggest this may have been a strategic move to insulate Bezos's original children from any future claims tied to his second marriage. Despite being born into unimaginable wealth, Bezos's children are not living tabloid lives. There are no mega mansions in Malibu under their names, no wild trust fund behavior, no Fashion Week cameos. And yet, behind this silence lies one of the most powerful dynastic transfers in modern capitalist history. As one Telegraph columnist put it, when Jeff Bezos disappears from the front page, closely his children may already be running the algorithm that defines your world. What do you like about the wedding? Let us know in the comments below. Hit the like and subscribe for more intriguing content. Thanks for watching.